Hey everybody, it's Derek Jameson, and welcome to the next episode of my past life series. Anytime a message comes through or something regarding past lives and it says record this, I just go for it and hope for the best. So in this particular episode of my past life series, we're going to talk about soul contracts and group contracts. I was having a dream last night where the same group of people or the same few people are in it, and it's in the same place. And I started reflecting this morning and asking my higher guidance, like, what's the message around this? What is going on? Why do I keep having dreams about these specific people and in this specific place or around this particular energy? And what they said is that, I mean, I wrote it down. I'm going to just kind of tell you the gist of it so we don't take too much time. But it's that people develop soul contracts before they come into the planet. So that can be between specific relationships, like me and you could have a soul contract where I would give you this information and you would find it no matter where you were in the world. Or it could be group contracts in a way of like deciding with a group before you come to Earth that you guys are going to like fulfill a particular mission or purpose, a specific energy that needs to take place. And what they used was, I am going to read a little bit of it. What they said was that it's the same spark that's created again to fulfill a group vision. So they say people with many different community systems have group past lives with those systems. So if you have a specific group, like a friend group or a work group or a reading group or a psychic group or whatever your group is, you carry that dynamic in other realities as well. And you're just pulling that information or that group dynamic or the power of that group consciousness into this particular lifetime that we're experiencing now to fulfill the purpose. And when we have those group contracts, it allows us to create not only more power for it, but it helps us to have trust and to awaken things and to keep us on track. It's almost like pods that keep you accountable. And I remember when I was given a vision during a meditation, and this was years ago, but that came to mind, so I feel like I'm supposed to talk about it. What I saw was little balls of light, souls with like, it kind of looked like little trails of like little tails of light. But these balls were coming in all together. And when they entered the Earth atmosphere, they separated out like this and went around the planet. And I was being shown that these souls come in with the same intent or purpose, and they begin to fragment off and imprint around the world so that they can be able to do the work that they're meant to do or the same purpose. So it's like fragments of ourselves, right? Because everything that we see and everyone that's in our lives is a mirror reflection of ourselves. They are us. That's still coming into our planet. People are still kind of are very resistant because everybody's holding on to their single identity. But at some point, everyone's going to see that we are all one unit. We are all one thing. So in that way, that group is closer. They carry the same fragments or energies that need to be manifested here on this physical planet in order to help it ascend and heal and clear those patterns from galactic history. As well as ancestral history from this linear timeline. So it really is so expansive, and I'm not going to really get into that because I don't want to confuse everybody and if you'd be like, what the hell is he talking about? So that's what was coming forward with this, is that they're brought here. I'll read this. Because I just channeled it out. It says, so one area of your life can have a group of people who are brought together because they exist together in other lives. The same dynamic magnetizes you together in the current one. It doesn't necessarily have to be a heavy karmic balance that you have to fulfill. It's more of like an agreement, not something that has to be balanced out. The same spark is created again to fulfill a group vision. This can occur in multiple areas of focus. In your life, it is fitness, music, spirituality, etc. They all have their own group contracts. This is why you'll find yourselves again in a single location, even if everyone is born completely in other cities, countries, locations around the world, they will find themselves somehow. It's kind of like how I've magnetized my spiritual friends and community from past lives that are here to do the same thing. We found ourselves via Clubhouse. That's not the only way, but that is one major way I have reinstated my relationships with these people. They are soul contracts. And as I dig into my own Akashic records and do my own readings through meditations, or simply my channels are really open so I can ask a question and receive answers now quite easily. And when I ask those questions, I get clear visions of what my relationship is with a specific person that I'm working with now. And it was all meant to happen right when it was supposed to happen. The contract was supposed to start when it was meant to start. And that goes for soul contracts that are meant to end when they're meant to end, and we can allow them to let them go. So it really is about listening to yourself, honoring yourself, and trusting your process with the experience, because people want to hold on to an old identity of them, that they don't allow those soul contracts or the group contracts, soul contracts to depart. They keep holding on to this old identity. So when it comes to letting go of soul contracts that are group contracts, it might be one of those ones where you're like, I'm really called to leave this work. I know I have this team. I've been working with this team, but it doesn't mean that you're supposed to stay with that team. You know, soul contracts, group contracts can end. You may have fulfilled the mission that your group has decided on. And that's why now you're in a different vibrational scale, in a different resonance, and your soul is calling you to do something more, or the next level of what you're meant to do. You fulfilled that. You healed that. You completed your contract within that. That's when, and even in relationships, that's when people will start developing conflict, or it won't settle within them, or they don't feel like they belong there, or they don't feel right. Many people stay in that for fear. They don't allow themselves the power of growth, and then they can manifest illnesses, unhappiness, you name it. A negative manifestation in your life can be done because you're simply not moving in the direction that you're being guided. So it's important to understand when soul contracts are completed. We're not going to go too far in that. That's just a little side tangent, because this really is past life related. But if you're pulling in a specific energy here, and you're having a group contract, and you find yourself, let's say, again, let's just choose a reading group. Maybe you guys are supposed to read together, and in another life, you are pulling esoteric wisdom into that lifetime, and you're grounding it. So what you're doing by activating that group dynamic in this particular one with this soul group contract, you are actually pulling the information multidimensionally. It's syncing up. So that other lifetime that you maybe lived in this linear lifetime in the past, and this is you now, it basically syncs up because you're choosing to do the same mission and the same purpose. So it locks in, and you're able to access that information because it's within your alignment. Now take that a step further. You could have a soul contract before you came in. And so you're on let's say a spaceship, or you're somewhere in another dimension or reality. It can actually sync up like that. So you have layers. And as you align with your divine mission and purpose and your personal contract, you are activating those codes that will align with those other realities and multidimensional selves that you are. And then you can begin to ground that energy that you want to ground here. So I know some of this is a little bit further out there this time. I know it's just coming through, so I'm just trusting the process. And take whatever you get, let it get to you. Anything that doesn't feel right for you, just let it go. Don't worry about it. But it's really cool to see that we have these soul contracts, these group contracts that will get activated when they're meant to. And we can fulfill the same purpose that we are fulfilling in another reality. We're basically saying, oh, we're going to go into this particular matrix and time frame, and we're going to fulfill that same thing that we were doing in the other lifetime. We're going to do it now. We're going to do it together, and everyone has their own role. And what's interesting about this is that sometimes people can have loved ones, meaning like you had an intense friendship or relationship with another person, and it's within that group dynamic. And you can have an intense attraction or love, or you could be tuned into the fact that there is a past life connection there, and that you're so drawn to them. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to reactivate that particular vibration or code in this one. You can still carry the appreciation for it. You should always ask for what it's teaching you and why you're having that group dynamic, but it's not necessarily meant to be like, oh, this is my lover from this other lifetime. Let me go and like reactivate that and pull that in. However, there might be information that you need within that connection. Okay, so it doesn't mean you're supposed to reactivate that and go through all the traumas, because you could have a lot of trauma and issues with one of those people in another lifetime, and you don't want to pull that information into this one and have to deal with it and feel all those feelings again and go through the trauma, right, and not heal it. So if that is something that does come forward for you within this particular lifetime, where you're activating that group dynamic and that personal relationship, It's asking for you to heal it and move above it, because you already had that, already done. It's time to move above that, like resonate higher, see what the bigger purpose is from these contracts. So people will come in groups and then they have their individual things, or people have individual contracts. And your soul contracts can be are with your parents. Your mom could have been your sister in another lifetime. Your dad could have been a pet in another lifetime and ascended. My grandma in my ancient Egyptian lifetime that's really activated in this current one is my grandma on my mom's side. It was actually my grandfather in my ancient Egyptian life. And in my very first past life connection, that's what I saw. I saw my grandpa. But when I was the girl inside the life, I didn't think of it as my grandma. I was like, yeah, I have my grandpa over there sitting there at the end of the table, like eating out of a bowl. After the whole thing was done, I realized that that was my grandmother from this lifetime. And it's funny, it's like, well, why are we seeing certain things within past lives that relate to these particular people or experiences? It's because it's where you're vibrating now. You will see the information that is meant for you to see, that will help you ground the information that you need right now. And that can shift and change over time, but you'll see the information that is much necessary for you at this time. So if I'm going to see my grandmother as my grandfather in that past life, it's to show me something with the connection between that lifetime spirituality and this one. Okay. And just remember, all that information comes in layers. Like, it literally comes in layers. You might see something and it might not make sense for years. Observe it, write it down, record it. Don't overanalyze, just let it go and let the layers come in. And they will come in. I'm getting things just today that are explaining things that have been happening with me for years. And I'm just getting it now. So I allow the process to take place. I trust in that process. I trust in the group dynamics I find myself around. And let that be what it is. Don't overanalyze it. Don't think it has to be a certain thing, but ask what it's calling from you. There's a certain group dynamic where I've given regressions to people in my life that are part of my group dynamics from Atlantis and ancient Egypt. And so we're reactivating those codes in order to heal some of those timelines and to ground the power from those lifetimes. We're pulling it into this one. And in a group dynamic, the magnetism is so much stronger. So we're able to really harness that power and create a vortex of energy. So look at the soul groups you have now. Pick one out. It's a fun exercise coming through. Pick one out that you connect with and go, look at that group. What is it about that group? What's the energy behind that group? Why are we here together? What is it that we're accomplishing right now? And then also look at the fact that, is there a soul group you feel that you are not a part of anymore? Has that contract been completed? Is there a new agreement that wants to be embarked upon? Right? Do we need to let go of old agreements? So this is about soul contracts specifically with groups, but this also works for your personal relationships. Look at the dynamic. What's the energy I'm supposed to learn from this soul contract? From my mother, from my father, from the family? That's a group dynamic right there. What is the underlying energy from your family? Are you here just to create a healing portal for the group that then can pass that on? Or are you here to create healing between you and some of those dynamics? Or are you here to send it love and release that contract in this life with that family member or group or partners or workplace? So look at the dynamics you have with your soul contracts. Ask yourself, what is it that you're learning from it about you? What do you need to take from it? What's the gift? And then see where you want to go from there. The understanding of what your group dynamic is what will help activate your power. It will be the thing that allows you to really stand into the purpose of what you came to do, to manifest the things, whatever that is. If you want money, to manifest money. If you want to be a leader, to manifest that next level of leadership. Understanding yourself, understanding the environment around you, and the power that you have is really the key to accessing all of your absolute multidimensional magic. So that's just what was coming through real quick this morning about soul contracts and why we find ourselves around the same place. You will have dreams about them. You will have experiences that you're just like, I love that person. Like you can just tell you love them. And it's because you share these same dynamics in other lives where you're fulfilling the same purpose. However, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to reactivate that in a higher sense and be like, oh, we're in love again. You know, it's just supposed to get you to kind of heal that, move past it. And that's what we're all here for. We are on this planet to heal. And this isn't just healing our ancestral line from this linear experience. This is galactic. We are carrying out the healing from other dimensions and realities. Many people are familiar with the Orion Wars and the conflict that has taken place in outer space. Well, we're healing those energetic frequencies that still exist from those things. And we're constantly given reminders of that. That's why you have the pyramids, like the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, how they align with the Orion star system and the Orion belt. It serves as a spark of remembrance to go, this is the connection you have. You are healing the energy from the deep polarity that took place within Orion and other star systems. But it was really big in Orion because that's where it kind of all relocated to. So this deep polarity that was created, those pyramids, those stars, and the different pyramids around the world are reminding us that we're here to integrate things back together, not to polarize. But in order for us to really integrate, it had to become very polarized, which is why you're seeing a lot of the stuff. But when it comes to past lives, soul contracts, people coming back together, we are all here creating that energy so that we can heal and reintegrate that power. That is the main takeaway from why we have these group contracts and soul contracts in this time. Because by healing ourselves and by healing the dynamic between us and another person, and healing the dynamic between groups, and also activating the group power that creates the purpose, we actually heal this world faster. And the more we heal it, the more the darkness will surface because it wants to hold on to that lower frequency. It thinks that it cannot survive if it can't stay alive, right? It's just trying to survive. And so it will pull out all the stops, which is what you begin seeing now. And what we've been seeing. Pulls out all the stops. It's going to surface hard because it knows the light is expansive. So it's going to pull out all its energy. But the more we move into the light, the more it will begin to clear. It really takes love. It really takes connection to the spiritual body. And anything that's dark that surfaces is an indicator that it wants to clear, and that it's time to clear, and that it can, and that it already is, and it is done in a future sense of our reality. So trust in that. Engage your soul contracts, activate them, and see what power potential lies within them. Thank you so much. I hope you like and subscribe. Please reach out to me. I am Derek Jameson. You can go to my Instagram. I connect with people really easy there at Derek Jameson. And if you want to check out my website or something or get a session, then derek-jameson.com. And I will see you guys soon. You are all amazing. Thank you for watching. Bye.